Imagine living in a world divided by race, a world where justice is a distant dream. Imagine facing decades of imprisonment for standing up for equality. Now imagine not only surviving but emerging from that ordeal with your dignity intact, ready to forgive, ready to heal, and ready to lead. This is the story of one man who defied the odds, who defied the hate, who defied an entire system of oppression, Nelson Mandela. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was born on July 18, 1918, in a small village called Mvezo in South Africa. Born into the Thembu royal family, he grew up in a country that was deeply divided by race. His early life was filled with traditional African values, community, respect, and courage. But even as a child, Mandela witnessed the stark inequalities in his homeland. The apartheid system was in full force, a political structure that separated people by race, relegating black South Africans to a life of poverty and limited rights. Mandela's awakening to social justice came when he moved to Johannesburg. The city was buzzing with political activism, and Mandela was exposed to new ideas about equality, human rights, and resistance. He enrolled at the University of Witwatersrand, where he studied law. Education, Mandela believed, was the key to personal freedom, but it wasn't enough to simply learn the law. He wanted to change it. In the early 1940s, Mandela joined the African National Congress, ANC, a political organization dedicated to ending apartheid. Together with other young leaders, he founded the ANC Youth League, setting the stage for a more radical approach to fighting racial oppression. Mandela quickly became a rising star within the movement, but the struggle for freedom wasn't easy. The government cracked down hard, and peaceful protests were often met with violence. By the early 1960s, Mandela and his comrades made a difficult decision. The time for peaceful protest had passed. In 1961, Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, the Spear of the Nation, the armed wing of the ANC. They began a campaign of sabotage against government installations, hoping to pressure the regime into negotiations. Mandela knew the risks. He knew that imprisonment, or worse, was a very real possibility, but he believed that freedom was worth any price. In 1963, Mandela and several others were arrested and put on trial for treason in what became known as the Rivonia trial. The world watched as Mandela, facing a potential death sentence, gave a speech that would echo through history. Mandela quotes, "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die." Sentenced to life in prison, Mandela would spend the next 27 years behind bars, mostly on Robben Island, cut off from the world he loved. But even in the darkness of his cell, Mandela never lost hope. He continued to lead, to inspire, and to fight. During those long years, Mandela became a symbol of resistance. His name became a rallying cry for freedom fighters around the world. Even as the apartheid regime tried to silence him, his voice only grew louder. Outside the prison walls, the world was changing. The anti-apartheid movement gained momentum. People from every corner of the globe called for Mandela's release. Musicians, politicians, and activists joined forces in the fight against apartheid. In 1989, as South Africa teetered on the edge of civil war, President F.W. de Klerk made a monumental decision. He knew the apartheid system could not last. And so, on February 11, 1990, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison, a free man. Many expected Mandela to seek revenge for the years of suffering he endured, but Mandela had a different vision. He didn't want revenge, he wanted reconciliation. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections, and Nelson Mandela became the country's first black president. His leadership during this time was nothing short of miraculous. He led a nation on the brink of chaos into an era of peace and unity. Mandela quotes, "As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." Mandela's impact didn't stop at South Africa's borders. He became a global symbol of peace, justice, and human dignity. He taught the world that forgiveness is more powerful than hatred, that unity can overcome division, and that one man can change the course of history. Even after stepping down as president in 1999, Mandela continued his work, advocating for peace, education, and the fight against HIV/AIDS. Nelson Mandela passed away on December 5, 2013, but his legacy lives on. His life is a testament to the power of resilience, courage, and compassion. Mandela's story is a reminder that even in the darkest times, the human spirit can triumph. He showed us that the fight for justice is never easy, but it is always worth it. And perhaps most importantly, he showed us that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness, but of incredible strength. Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." His life proves that change is possible, that no matter how high the mountain, no matter how deep the valley, with courage, determination, and love, we can overcome. Let Mandela's life be a beacon for us all. Let his legacy inspire us to be better, to do better, and to never give up on the fight for freedom and justice. Because in the end, it's not just about changing the world, it's about changing ourselves.